everyone, and welcome back to another day of distance learning. This is the second grade math DCPS learning packet, week 9, day 2. This is the last week that we'll be together. Oh, I'm going to miss you. But Mr. Bernal is going to really end the week out with a bang. So stay tuned for his videos. For our daily warm-up, what we're going to be doing, we're going to solve the following problem using the place value chart and the standard algorithm. So we had to draw out our problem. As we were drawing out our problem, we started with the number 709. We drew 7 hundreds, 0 tens, and 9 ones. Next, we had to subtract. Well, it's best to look at the up and down vertical problem while we're subtracting to help us to line our numbers up correctly. If I have 9 ones and I take 8 ones away from it, as I can see here, I had 9 ones, I took 8 away, I'm left with 1 1. Next, I had to look at the tens. When I first got to the tens, I had 0 tens, but I needed to take 6 away. Therefore, I had to go and I had to unbundle 100. When I unbundled 100, I made 10 tens. 10 tens minus 6 tens left 4 tens. Next, I had to now go to the hundreds place. I had 6 hundreds and I'm taking 3 away. Therefore, I'm left with 3 hundreds. My difference is 341. Now let's look at the algorithm. All right, so now when we have the number 709 minus 368, 9 minus 8 equals 1. 0 minus 6 I couldn't do. So I had to go to my hundreds house and I had to unbundle 100. That left 600. When I unbundled the 100, I made 10 tens. 10 tens minus 6 tens is 4 tens. Next, I had to look at the 600 minus the 3. 600 minus 3 is 3. My answer is 341. The difference between 709 minus 368 is 341. Today, we're going to be looking at fractions. And while we're looking at fractions, we're going to use a math story to help to teach us. Well, I just was happened to sitting in my room and I was eating one of these things. I love these things. These are called Chewy bars. I was just about to eat it when all of a sudden I hear a knock at the door. I had one whole Chewy bar that I was going to use all by myself and eat it up. And then my friend came in. It was Miss Brooks. I said, "Would you like a piece?" She said yes. So therefore, I had to break my one whole into 2 pieces. And because I wanted to share with my friend Miss Brooks. So that was 1 piece for me and 1 piece for Miss Brooks. So now I've made a fraction. I've taken 1 bar, and what did I do to that 1 bar? Did I break it apart? I sure did. I've broken it apart into 2 pieces. So I have 1 bar that has been broken into 2 pieces. So now I say, how do I look at this as a fraction? Well, when I'm looking at a fraction, I have 2 numbers written together. One on the top section and one at the bottom section. The number at the top represents the part that I'm looking at. The number at the bottom represents out of how many, the whole thing. The number at the top is called the numerator. You know I love those college words. The number at the bottom is called the denominator. So this is what? That's 1 part of how many? 1, 2. So 1 part of 2. The proper way to read this would be 1/2. So when I see a 2 in the denominator section, I read that as half. Now, what if I take this and put this together with what I have? Well, I had 1 out of 2 parts here, plus 1 out of 2 parts here. Now I have 2 out of 2 parts. The way that I would read this would be 2 parts over 2. 2 halves. Or I could read this as 1 whole. Because, as you can see, it's the same size as when I first started out, my 1 whole. So Miss Brooks and I were just about to eat it and have ourselves a good old time when there was a knock at the door. It was our friend, Miss Abraham. So I said, come on in. Would you like some chewy bar? She said yes. So we had to divide the chewy bar again. Remember, we only had 1. Now we have myself, Miss Brooks, and Miss Abraham. So now we have to break it into 3 equal pieces. So here's a piece for Miss Brooks, a piece for Miss Abraham, and a piece for myself. So now I have 1, 2, 3 pieces. Does that change my fraction? It sure does. So if Miss Brooks eats her piece, she eats 1 of the 3 pieces. That's 1/3. If Miss Brooks and Miss Abraham eat their pieces, that means how many pieces they eat? 1, 2. Out of how many? 3. You read that as 2/3. Now, what if I also ate my piece? That would be read as 1, 2, 3. 3/3. Now let's see what 3/3 equals. 1, 2, 3. So 3/3 is the same thing as 1 whole chewy bar. Okay, we were having a good old time. It was Miss Bess, Miss Brooks, and Miss Abraham. All of a sudden, there was a knock at the door. It was our friend, Miss Black. Hi, Miss Black. Would you like some chewy bar? Sure. So we had to think of a way to divide it again. So we take the whole chewy bar, but now we have Miss Bess, Miss Brooks, Miss Abraham, and Miss Black. We have 4 people. So we decide to divide the chewy bar up again. So here we go. This is a piece for Miss Abraham. This is a piece for Miss Brooks. This is a piece for Miss Black. And we can't forget myself, Miss Best. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of the chewy bar. So that changes my fraction. All right, so if Miss Brooks eats her piece, she eats 1 of the 4 pieces. So the way that I would read this fraction is 1/4. If Miss Abraham and Miss Brooks eat their pieces, that means 2 pieces have been eaten out of 4. That's read as 2/4. If Miss Black decides to eat her piece, along with Miss Abraham and Miss Brooks, that would be 1, 2, 3. 3 out of the 4 pieces have been eaten. If I, Miss Best, decide to eat my piece, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of the 4 parts have been eaten. And I would read this as 4/4. This anchor chart here helps us to understand that fractions are equal parts and that when we partition them, how to best read them. This part, the let's try it part, says that I'm going to circle the shares that have 2 equal shares with 1 share shaded. The first one has been done for you. So remember, it has to be equal. When I look at this one here, this one tells me that these are 2 equal. That's why it was circled. So let's look at the next one. The next one is here. This part looks bigger than this part. It's not equal. So I'm going to put a cross line over it. This is one part. This is another part. They look about the same size. They must be equal. So I'm looking for 1/2. This is one part and this is one part. They both look equal. So I'm going to circle this also. So let's move on to the second section. The second section says I'm going to partition, or I'm going to divide. Partition and shade the following shape as indicated. Each rectangle or circle is one whole. Well, when I'm dividing things into halves, I know I'm dividing them into 2 equal parts. So in the first problem, it says 2 halves. I had to divide it into 2 parts. Then I colored the 2 parts. 2 halves is also the same as 1 whole. Let's go to the next shape. It says 2/3. So thirds mean that I'm going to divide it into 3 equal parts. 2 tells me how many I'm going to color in. So I divided into 3 parts, part 1, part 2, part 3. Then I colored in 2 of those parts, 1, 2. Let's look at the next section. The next one tells us 2/4. If I say 4ths, I want to divide it into 4 equal parts. And then I'm going to color in 2 of them. So the last one that we see is 2/4. I divided into 4 equal parts and I colored 2 of those in. Number 3, split the pizza below so that Shane, Raul, and John all have an equal share. Label each student's share with his name. Problem A states, what fraction of the pizza was eaten by each of the boys? Well, there are 3 pieces in all, and each boy got to eat 1 piece. So that means they ate each boy ate 1 out of the 3 pieces. That means that they ate 1/3 of the pizza. So let's look at B. What fraction of the pizza did the boys eat all together? Well, there were 3 pieces, and each boy ate a piece. So that means they ate 3 out of the 3 pieces. Also equals 1 whole. Now you're going to do the problem set on your own. It has been a pleasure and a joy to work with you this semester in distance learning. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful summer, and that you continue to practice these math skills. Have a great time and do good job for Mr. Bernal for day 3 and day 4 of this last week in distance learning. Bye everyone. See you next time.